All right, welcome. Apologies for the slight technical difficulties there, but welcome to this live broadcast. Thrilled to see you all, and as you can see, we are live from NYC, and it's Challenge Episode 2, and indeed, the whole thing and the whole episode of 2 is being brought to you from my iPhone. So thrilled to have you all here, and very excited to kick off this second live show. And we've got a bunch of questions from you, which is fantastic. So we're going to be answering all of those as well. And also, I want to talk about today's topic. And today's topic has a lot to do with the start of the challenge, and it's choosing your market. And I want to talk about some of the fundamental changes that we've made when it comes to picking your market and the way you should think about it. Because when we started the challenge all those years ago, here, in fact, about 10 kilometers that way, literally straight up the street, was where the challenge began in 2005, where I got the idea in Trump Tower. And then market selection, it wasn't so necessary for you to be interested in your market. You could easily create a viable business in a market that was that you particularly weren't interested in. So, I was involved in sites like, how to have a Cinderella wedding on a pauper's budget, or how to trout fish in streams. Those sorts of... I've never fished for trout in a stream. Certainly haven't fly fished for trout in a stream. And I have certainly never had much to do with planning a wedding. Not something that I'm interested in. Fast forward to today, and you just can't do that anymore. And I want to explain the reasons why you can't do that anymore, and why I think it's ultimately much better, much more sustainable. And when we think about what the promise of what we're trying to do here is, when we think about that promise, I think it absolutely gives very positive and very specific things that we can do in terms of looking at choosing and picking your market. And indeed, it's a huge potential roadblock for a lot of challenges over the years have literally did not pass go, did not collect $200 because they literally couldn't make a decision on a market. And I think that decision, that market decision, really is all about, those key, elements, if you will, of your understanding of the market and everything to do with it. And so, when we looked at that market, when we looked at that challenge market, it was, as I said, you didn't have to worry about it at all. Now, because you have to dedicate some time, you have to put in some energy, you have to put in some effort, I think it's very important for you to look at the type of market and what you're involved in. And it absolutely needs to be a market that you're passionate about, right? Makes sense. So what do we need to think about? So, in the old days, we were worried about, did the market exist? Well, the first thing, and we talk about this in the challenge, and it's most important that you understand this, is Dale's Law, which is every market is now a market. And I'm not going to go into detail because we talk about a lot of that in Module 1. But that is a very important thing, is that picking that market used to be tricky because those markets there didn't exist. But as we know now, every market's a market. If you can make money in piano stool restoration, if you can make money in pottery valuation, anything is possible. Anything is possible. I think what people worried about and why they didn't pick and dive into a particular market was that they were worried about, well, what if I pick the wrong one? What if I try to commit myself and I go down the wrong one? This is a particular issue for those of you who took a Kolbe test and you were a high fact finder or a high follow through person. Typically, you want to be assured that what you're doing doesn't waste your time and it makes sense. And so picking a market, picking the thing that you want to create your business in, that seems to be the most fundamental decision and the one that you're most desperate to get right. But how do you know you're going to be right until you get into that market? All right, that is the key question here. And of course, the truth is you just can't. You just don't know whether you're going to be right or not. You don't know. Nobody knows. But you can be certain that if you're interested in a particular market, there'll be 1,000 other people that are interested in that market. And as we talked about last week, those, if 1,000 people spend $100 with you, you've got a business. And that's pretty darn exciting. So that's not an issue anymore. Another, I think, potential turn off in market selection, and again, this particularly goes to, sorry, I seem to be picking on the high fact finders, don't worry, we'll get to the others shortly, but those high fact finders and high follow through, where they worry that you have to be the face of your market, you personally have to be individually the niche. Now, as we go through the existing weeks, and indeed, I don't know how far you've got into the challenge material yet, but we talk about that, right? And so there's always a way of communicating to your market, which is something that's very appropriate to you. And that in itself is very exciting. Now, I apologize, I'm very yellow, but I've got a yellow lamp up here. So there you go. Just looks as though I've had a very, very, very bad turn at a Celeria, but that's okay. So that's, people quite rightly are worried that, well, what if I put all this energy into this challenge and the business doesn't work, the marketing doesn't work? Well, if you follow the guidelines in Module 1, Module 1's guidelines are very good at showing you how to eliminate a market that's not going to be suitable for you. We can never know whether a market's going to be right or not. We just don't know. We don't know. We can't know. It's impossible until you get in there and start doing things. You just don't know. But you can figure out where you're going to waste your time. So that is a big part of it. Let's see if I can do a change here. Let's have a look. Oh, look at that. It worked. So what are we going to do? What are we going to consider? What are the things that we need to think about when we're picking a market? I think first and foremost, it's got to be something that you're excited about, that you're interested in. Dare I say it, you're passionate about. And as I said, you never had to be that case. Now, I've met a lot of challengers over the years who literally say to me, and you could be you on this call, there's just nothing that I get that excited about. There's nothing that I'm really interested in. And that's a shame, but I've had enough people say it to me now that it's a really big deal and it's something that we need to talk about today. What I say when I get that question is, well, what did you used to enjoy? What was something that you enjoyed? Maybe you did as a kid or a hobby, or could have been anything like that. Because why? Why am I saying you have to be excited? Why do you have to be interested? Why do you have to be passionate about a particular market? It's because you're going to spend time in there, okay? You're going to spend time in there. And now, the time we're talking about is not 40 hours a week, every day or more. There's nothing like that. But it is a commitment. You're going to need to give this stuff a year, right? You're going to need to be involved in a marketplace for at least 12 months.